Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We have a special guest today with us from University of Florida, Mr. Vishnu. Hey, Vishnu. Good to see you. And I would like you to introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, my name is Vishnu. I'm a first year student at UF. For high school, I went to Nice and I did the IB program. And then right now, I'm wearing my middle school jacket, Freedom Crossing Academy. I live in the St. John's area, and I'm here and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Vishnu, for taking the time and be with us. I have few questions. నేను తెలుగులో అడుగుతా. I'm sure you will be comfortable
Yeah.
with that. Um, so, first question, you went to Nice IB program. I want to hear from your words how much it helped you
Mm.
during your high school years or during your college application process or during your first semester at the University of Florida.
Yeah. Okay. There's actually multiple ways to answer this question, so I'll start slow. There's quite a very many different approaches in terms of like how it helped me. First things first, everybody knows that the IB program is very rigorous, and it's the you know, most course work heavy and most intense program or curriculum that you can take in high school. That's a true statement, and I think that stood true as I interacted with many students. And in that case, I think one of the things that it very much helped me with is that college intensity hits you immediately in freshman year. After that 1 month, 2 month adjustment period, you ease into college level work all the time. In that way, I think I got very much early exposure to the level of intensity that I should expect going forward, regardless of what career stage I'm in, whether it's college, whether it's job applications, whether it's getting internships, anything it was. I think I was ready for intensity. One thing that I think people should consider before choosing IB or sending their kid into IB is understanding what exactly IB entails. A lot of times what happens, especially in our community, is that we just hear other kids are doing it or other families are choosing IB, and we go that same path because we think it's prestigious or going to set us up for success. I think the main mistake I did when going into IB is that I didn't understand what type of courses I'll be taking, what kind of outlooks I could have, what the different paths are. And for those of you that are in IB, you'll understand you can take the HL level of something, you can take the SL level of something. You have a little bit of flexibility in terms of what courses you want to take. You can take additional certificate classes. So I think one of the things it's very important for students to do, especially families that are interested or in that 8th grade phase choosing what high school to go to, is understand what you're getting into and what is possible in terms of course load. That's a very good habit that will take you far in life in terms of even when you get to college, everything is self-oriented. You have to pick your own courses, you have to do your own clubs. And I think in terms of thinking by myself and being independent and having a future plan, at least of what is possible, that helped me a lot. That is what IB helped me in terms of self-independence and getting me ready for intensive.
Wonderful. Thank you, Vishnu. Oftentimes, we parents miss that perspective
Yeah.
from the student side of it. So, ఇంకొంచెం few questions.
Yeah.
ఐబీ తీసుకోవటం వల్ల జీపీఏ ఎఫెక్ట్ అవుతుందా? అంటే
Mm,
ఆ రిగరస్ కోర్సు దాని
mm.
స్టాండర్డ్స్ డిఫరెంట్ ఉంటున్నాయి.
Mm.
సో, విల్ దట్ ఎఫెక్ట్ యువర్ ఓవరాల్ జీపీఏ? అండ్ కాలేజ్ అప్లికేషన్ ప్రాసెస్‌లో విల్ దే సీ దట్ జీపీఏ మెయిన్‌గా చూస్తారా? లేకపోతే ఆహ్, మీ రిగర్ ఆఫ్ వర్క్, కోర్స్ వర్క్ ఎక్కువ చూస్తారా అప్లికేషన్
Mm.
ప్రాసెస్‌లో?
I think the best way to answer this type of question is that no matter what school you go to, a high outcome or an ideal outcome is definitely likely. It's not that only Ivy Leagues or only these top schools or only UF and FSU takes from these schools. It's not like that. Like Auntie mentioned, it's very important to take course rigor into mind. So IB in the whole area has the biggest quota when it comes to the school's acceptance. They can only take a certain amount of people from each area of Florida, each area of different states and whatnot. Typically, when they come to Nice or Stanton or somewhere with the IB program, they know that it already stands out as a high rigorous program. Yes, it does affect your GPA in terms of you have more courses available at available at whatever you're willing to do. So if you want to have a higher GPA and you want to be the highest performing student and have the highest opportunities in terms of learning and customized curriculum, it's definitely beneficial to do IB. But at the same time, The corresponding con to that having so much flexibility is that the coursework is very, very difficult. If you go to IB, it's very important that you become a high performing student and stay high performing for a long period of time. And that can be very, very tiring, and it can take away from other aspects of high school as well. So it's an important consideration. I'm not voting against or for it. I'm just saying that, yes, it does affect your GPA in terms of you have to put double the effort to have, you know, a high rank. Even if you have a high GPA, you might have the same GPA as someone at Creekside or Bartram Trail, but your rank might be lower. And realistically, more than GPA matters, it depends on your rank. Colleges take consideration of rank more than GPA, because rank means how do you compare against your peers. So that's an important consideration. Another thing is that you can perform very well at any school, Creekside, Bartram Trail, PacSun, Atlantic Coast. No matter where you go, you can perform at a very, very high level. And as long as you have, you know, the highest course rigor at your school, whether that's dual enrollment, whether that's, you know, getting certificates from St. John's River, getting ACE program, anything that you do, as long as you perform at the highest level in terms of relative to your peers, you're well off.
That's great points you mentioned. So just a GPA కాకుండా ఎక్స్ట్రా కరికులర్ యాక్టివిటీస్ అవ్వచ్చు, లీడర్షిప్ ఆపర్చునిటీస్ అవ్వచ్చు, కమ్యూనిటీ సర్వీస్ ఓరియంటెడ్ వాలంటీర్ అవర్స్ అవ్వచ్చు, ఇవన్నీ చేయాలి అంటే ఒక వెల్ రౌండెడ్ రిగర్ వర్క్ చేస్తూ ఇవన్నీ చేయాలి, ఇవంతా బ్యాలెన్స్ చేయాలి అంటే ఇట్ నీడ్స్ ఎ లాట్ ఆఫ్ టైమ్ కమిట్మెంట్ అండ్ ఆల్ దోస్ థింగ్స్, డిసిప్లిన్ అండ్ ఎవ్రీథింగ్. సో మీ కాలేజ్ అప్లికేషన్ ప్రాసెస్ అప్పుడు హౌ డు యూ highlighted your extracurricular activities అంటే GPA కాకుండా other things? What else you have done that helped you?
Yeah, like Auntie mentioned, it's very, very important to take extracurriculars into account. One of the biggest things that colleges are looking for, and I'm sure all these parents by this point know, that what you do outside of your curriculum is very important in terms of getting ready for college and presenting yourself as an ideal candidate. I think personally at Nice, there's a lot of opportunities and a lot of prestigious opportunities in terms of high school extracurriculars. We have DECA, we have HOSA, and those are well-known clubs, not just within Nice, but in our entire St. John's County, Jacksonville area. So in that way, I think I highlighted myself in terms of I related my extracurriculars to the field that I'm going in towards. It's very important that you can show competency towards the career field that you're targeting through the school that you want to get into. Colleges are looking for people that will succeed in the school. So the best way you can present yourself as successful in the school is by being career oriented. Of course, it's a very difficult decision as a 14-year-old or a 15-year-old to, you know, select business or select health or select engineering as a certain field. But if you can have lot of competency in a very niche field or some type of very interesting field that you can prove I have been successful, I am successful, which means that I'm very likely to continue being successful at your school, it's very important. One of the things that Auntie asked me is, how do you highlight your extracurriculars? Everyone knows about the college application process in terms of there's a lot of essay writing. So in terms of essay writing, you really need to be able to connect what the school has, whether it's courses, professors, research opportunities, college clubs, college recruitment events, whatever resources the college has. You need to position your essay and your candidacy as an ideal person, an ideal student that can take advantage of those resources. You need to show precedent of, at high school, I was self-oriented, self-disciplined, involved in this many clubs. And I've done a lot of career discernment, as in you've decided and narrowed what type of field you want to pursue, which is why I think at your school, based off of this program and this professor and conversations to these type of, you know, clubs, I can perform and get the ideal outcomes in terms of post-grad, whether that's higher education, getting a high-paying job, or whatever that may mean for you. You need to be able to connect your high school experiences and write about them in your essay and connect them and how you think they're going to bridge to the college when you attend. Colleges are looking for high performance once they are enrolled.
Thank you very much, Vishnu. So for high school we think we covered almost all things. So I just wanted to switch back to your undergrad program.
100%.
So హై స్కూల్లో ఉన్నప్పుడే డిసైడ్ అయిపోయావా దిస్ ఇస్ ద మేజర్ యూ వాంట్ టు గో ఫర్ ఇట్ ఆర్ యూ హ్యాడ్ ఆప్షన్స్ లైక్ ఆప్షన్ ఏ ఆప్షన్ బి?
Yeah. Okay, that's actually a really good question. I think when we talk to older students, we always think like, especially when you have a young children or younger students, you talk to these older students and they seem like they have their whole life figured out. You think oh man, for a long time they've had this career interest, or for a long time they've been positioning themselves to perform at a high level. But the truth is, at least in my perspective, I cannot speak for anybody else, but I came into high school not knowing what I wanted to do. First, in middle school, I wanted to be a cybersecurity specialist, and then I wanted to be a cardiologist and be maybe involved in surgery. There were so many different interests that I didn't even know what I was going to expect. But one of the things that very much helped me is my extracurriculars. I got involved in Nice DECA, very, very early in my college or like my high school career. So once I got involved and I got exposure and I went to the international competitions and I was able to have conversations with, the seniors and juniors and maybe even some college freshmen, I realized this is the type of interest I want to pursue once I get to college. So what exactly is it that I need to do and continue to expand my horizon in the business field? I didn't always know I was going to study business. I didn't have a complete, this is the exact program I want to do at this college. I didn't know that. The truth is, I decided on business in my junior year after lots of exposure, lots of, conversations with older students and the competitions, like I mentioned. And then I did research into what type of programs at each school are different. When you think of like the top schools, they typically have specialization in a certain niche or a certain type of degree. It's very important to understand what type of programs are qualified and very well respected in terms of the career field at that school. So me at UF, we have a relatively big finance program. And within that, there are clubs that lead the recruiting for certain programs and certain career paths. So me, as someone that's interested in business, I applied as finance for UF, but I applied as economics for other schools. So it's important to understand how to apply for each school. You cannot have a cookie cutter template for every type of school that you apply to. It's important to position your activities, your extracurriculars differently and customize the essays and customize how you present yourself per school that you apply to. Does that make sense?
థ్యాంక్ యూ. దట్స్ రియల్లీ అది చాలా సార్లు స్టూడెంట్స్ మిస్ అవుతుంటారు. నువ్వు చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్ పాయింట్స్ అన్ని టచ్ చేసావు. లైక్ ఈచ్ కాలేజ్ ఎలాగా నువ్వు చూసుకోవాలి, దేనికి ఎలాగ కస్టమైజ్ చేసుకోవాలి, చాలా చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్. థ్యాంక్ యూ. అది నువ్వు మెన్షన్ చేసావు, చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్. సో యాజ్ యూ మెన్షన్ బిజినెస్ ఒకటి ఆప్షన్, ఎకనామిక్స్ అనదర్ ఆప్షన్లో పెట్టు. సో నీ టాప్ చాయిస్ ఎప్పుడు యూఎఫ్ ఉండేనా, లేకపోతే అవుట్ ఆఫ్ స్టేట్ కూడా నీ టాప్ చాయిసెస్ ఉన్నాయా?
Yeah, actually, my journey is UF was realistically my third option. Third option because everybody knows it's affordable and a decent school within Florida. So University of Pennsylvania, the Wharton School of Business was my number one, number two. It was tied with University of Virginia. University of Virginia has a very niche program, something called Jefferson Scholars. Jefferson Scholars is something you have to get nominated by your school board to get even into that interview process. So that was actually my number one option. I got into University of Virginia, but I didn't get the Jefferson Scholars program. The Jefferson Scholars program is a simultaneous program. Once you've submitted your application and you've done the requirements in terms of the essay writing and the Common App and all of that stuff, they also require you to be nominated by your school and go through a separate interview and recruitment process. I made it to the final round interview, and then I was not selected to be part of the 34 students that they take every year to be part of Jefferson Scholars. If I would have gotten that, I would have gotten to UVA. But my second option was University of Pennsylvania Wharton, and I didn't get that seat. And then I was happy to go to University of Florida because it's affordable, it's close to home, and it's well known in terms of job opportunities outside of college, especially for finance.
It is called as Little Ivy for Florida. Your face.
Yeah, there's a lot of like conversation in terms of some people are saying like it's like the non-Ivy Ivy Leagues. Even University of Virginia, University of North Carolina. I also got into the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, for the guaranteed business program, but I didn't think it was worth me paying $65,000,
Mm.
$70,000 a year
Mhm.
for a similar position that UF is in.
Mhm.
So that's like the considerations you have to take. One of the things that you'll see online, and I'm sure your students will see, your children will see it either on social media or some college like recommendation post, is people say go Ivy or go free. So go Ivy doesn't mean necessarily Ivy League. It means like the top schools, the top 20, top 30 schools. Either you go to one of those schools and make it worth the yearly cost, or you go to the low cost university that still has good job outlooks and career outlooks. I think I stand by that philosophy.
Mhm.
Either you pay for a name brand or you pay for a solid education, or you don't pay for a solid
Mhm.
education. I
Yeah,
think that's a good way to approach college, especially because it'll take that cost burden off of you.
100% agree.
Yeah,
సో లాస్ట్ 2 క్వెషన్స్‌కి వచ్చేసాము.
sure.
సో ఇందాక చెప్పావు గదా! కాలేజ్ గైడెన్స్ వాళ్ళ దగ్గర నుంచి కూడా మనకి కాలేజ్ బోర్డ్ నుంచి కూడా రికమెండేషన్స్ అవన్నీ రావాలని. ఇవన్నీ రావాలి అంటే హై స్కూల్‌లో ఉన్నప్పుడు యూ నీడ్ టు హావ్ దట్ గుడ్ కనెక్షన్
Yeah,
అండ్ దట్ ర్యాపో విత్ ద
100%.
ఉండాలి.
Yeah.
సో ఆఫెన్ టైమ్స్ పేరెంట్స్ వచ్చి మీ పిల్లలు ఏం చేస్తున్నారు? ఎక్స్‌ట్రా కరిక్యులేటర్స్ చెప్పండి. మేము గూడా అవే పెడతాము అంటారు.
Mm.
ఐ డోంట్ థింక్ దట్ విల్ వర్క్ దట్ వే. సో నీ పర్స్పెక్టివ్ ఏంటి ఇక్కడ? ఆ కనెక్షన్స్, ఆ ర్యాపో అలా డెవలప్ చేయాలి. ఆ
Mm.
రికమెండేషన్స్ లాస్ట్ కాలేజీ అప్లికేషన్స్ బిఫోర్ వెళ్తే రాదు. ఇది కొంచెం ఎర్లీగా స్టార్ట్ చేయాలి.
అవునవునవును.
సో వాట్ డు యూ సే దట్ అది ఆ టైమ్ ఫ్రేమ్ ఏది క్రూషియల్? 10థ్ గ్రేడా? 11థ్ గ్రేడా? ఏది క్రూషియల్ టైము? దానికి వాళ్ళు ఎలా ప్రెప్ చేసుకోవాలి వాళ్ళని? ఇలాంటి రికమెండేషన్స్ కావాలి అంటే విల్ యూ ఏబుల్ టు ఎక్స్‌ప్లెయిన్ ఇన్ యువర్ వర్డ్స్?
I think the most important, actually, Auntie, this is a really, really good question. It's something that a lot of people get confused within, and even I didn't understand until maybe my second year of high school. One of the things that is very important for success, at least in my opinion, is that you need to not be so career oriented. One of the best things that teachers really like, or the school board really likes, is that you represent the school on multiple fronts. You need to be a good conversationalist. You need to be a great friend. You need to help the older students. But at the same time, you need to compete and show your competency. As much as it is important to get these awards, it's important to recognize who helped you get there. It's important to send out emails. It's important to ask if the teacher needs any help, even if you think it may not be the most effective use of your time. It's not one of those things where you just like do favors for the teacher, so one day they'll do favors for you. It's more of that thing where you try to understand and learn the game through conversation. If you try to speak with teachers and they give you their advice and their perspective, remember that these teachers have been at your school for a long time. They've seen so many generations of high performing, low performing, mid performing students, so they can really give you insight in terms of how to discern your performance. So I think one of the things is you should not overly calculate or overly make your life transactional. I think the best thing to do is perform, make friends, and be a good person, because teachers genuinely, they will recognize the type of student you are and the type of character you have. I personally was fortunate enough to be nominated to speak at my graduation as a non-valedictorian, a commencement speaker. And I think that came because my name was known on campus by the teachers and the school board as someone who played volleyball for the school, someone that was president of DECA, as well as a high performing student. So it's important to be well-rounded in terms of who you are as a person on the campus. You need to be volunteering. You need to be involved in your community. You need to be cultural. You need to be very curious into what other people are doing, like what type of achievements, what is their passions. Especially when you can drive authentic conversations, teachers and the other administration will, turn an ear to you. And you need to know the right questions to ask, the right people to go to. And that only comes through practice. That's not something that you can prescribe, like an older student can prescribe, do this list of extracurriculars and you'll get into this Ivy League. It's not like that. It's very much personal. And I think it's important for the student to make good relationships with everyone on campus, whether it's fellow students, whether it's teachers, whether it's club leaders, anybody. It's always important to have good relationships, because the most valuable information comes through conversation. And I think that is how I set myself apart in terms of getting that nomination for these scholarships and other prestigious programs.
Thank you, Vishnu. So, ఇంకా లాస్ట్ క్వశ్చన్తో వి విల్ కంక్లూడ్ దిస్ సెషన్. ఇప్పుడు యూఎఫ్లో బిజినెస్ మేజర్ కదా మీరు చేస్తుంది. సో కెన్ యూ టెల్ ఇన్ యువర్ వర్డ్స్ హౌ యూఎఫ్ బిజినెస్ మేజర్ నీకు ఇప్పుడు ఫస్ట్ సెమిస్టర్ అయిపోయింది. ఈ ఫస్ట్ సెమిస్టర్లో అంటే నువ్వు తెలుసుకున్న దాంట్లో దాన్ని నీకు నచ్చినవి ఉండుండొచ్చు, కొన్ని నచ్చనివి కూడా ఉండుండొచ్చు.
Of course.
సో నువ్వు యాజ్ ఎ స్టూడెంట్గా, ఎగ్జిస్టింగ్ స్టూడెంట్గా, వాట్ ఎల్స్ యూ లైక్డ్ అండ్ వాట్ ఎల్స్ యూ ఆర్ లుకింగ్ ఫార్వర్డ్ టు?
Yeah, of course. So it's a great question, to be honest. I think the best way to learn about college is by asking someone that is in college. So it's a great question. I think in my first semester, I can start with the things that I really do like. Yes, college is a lot of fun. A lot of fun. You get so much exposure to new people, new conversations, new clubs, new organizations, so many job opportunities, so many things to do, so many people to talk to and explore, research opportunities, whatever it is, there's something for you at whatever school you go to. Best thing I've very much enjoyed is the conversations with different people. My friend group is a bunch of pre-med students. Rather than me having business friends, my main friend group is pre-med students. But at the same time, I'm exposed to everybody's discipline, everybody's passion. It's very, very inspiring to see how hardworking the students are around you and how many dreams that they have. Another thing that I very much like is I underestimated UF's relationships with the corporate people that have recruiting events and like people from, you know, the corporate side of the world coming in to talk to students and offer them job opportunities and like other type of like advice. That is a very, very fun thing. In terms of, you know, UF, just because it's a more affordable school, I think it takes the cost burden away in terms of when you want to choose a class or a fun class or like a class outside of your major, you can do it. You can very much engage in multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary courses and all sorts of variety of knowledge. And I think college has reinvigorated my curiosity and burning passion for learning. I think that's what I very much like. In terms of the cons, there are I can only speak to my personal experience, but if you compare UF to other, you know, better schools, they do not have they don't have the same reputation. So if I send an email with my UFL email, some people may not get back to me, you know, just because they don't think that UF has a good enough reputation. But at the same time, I underestimated UF's reputation, and there's very many people that are excited to talk to young students at UF. I think another thing that is different from UF and other business schools is that UF is not primarily a business school or not known for its business programs. So there's a certain level of mentorship in certain niches that may not be adequate to be successful in that position. Like there's a lot of people in finance, and we've seen a lot of people be successful in finance. But at the same time, there's not that many people that have been successful, or not necessarily successful, but there's not many students that are interested in fintech from UF. So the fintech students are only now developing like an incubator and these clubs and things to place better. I think that's one of the things that I wish that UF was better at. One piece of advice that I can give to students is that when you choose a school, you need to know how to perform at the school before you even get there. You need to know what clubs are good. You need to know who to talk to. You need to know what research professors to speak to and reach out to. And another thing is, it's very important to do the research before you attend, because within the first 3 weeks, you have to interview for clubs. You have to be professional. You have to have a resume. You know, there's so many things that we overlook when we get into the college application process, just because we're so, you know, lost in, let me get into this school, let me get into this prestigious program. It's very important. No matter what school you go to, you need to understand what exactly it takes to be successful at that school.
థ్యాంక్ యూ విష్ణు. యూ టచ్ బేస్ వెరీ ఇంపార్టెంట్ పాయింట్స్ మీద చాలా టచ్ బేస్ చేసావు. నేను ఈ క్వశ్చన్తోనే ఎండ్ చేద్దాం అనుకున్నా, బట్ నువ్వు టచ్ బేస్ చేసిన క్వశ్చన్స్లో నాకు ఇంకొక క్వశ్చన్ వచ్చింది. సో మీరు ఇప్పుడు ఫస్ట్ సెమిస్టర్ అయిపోయిన తర్వాత మీ కాలేజ్లో మీకు రీసెర్చ్ ఆపర్చునిటీస్ కానీ, ఇంటర్న్షిప్ ఆపర్చునిటీస్ కానీ, క్యాంపస్ ఇంటర్వ్యూస్ కానీ, లేకపోతే సెమిస్టర్ అబ్రాడ్ ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ కానీ, ఇవన్నీ మీకు ఇంట్రడ్యూస్ చేశారా ఫస్ట్ సెమిస్టర్, బై ద ఎండ్ ఆఫ్ ద ఫస్ట్ సెమిస్టర్? and how rigor the coursework is while you are managing your coursework and you are attending all these interviews, being best at all these clubs and everything. Is it is competitive, or is it is just a like you apply and you get it?
Yeah. Um, it's a very good question. Clubs in college are extremely competitive because they're very, very, it's all the most high performing and the ambitious kids are applying to the same programs. You have to bring the level of professionalism even when you just apply to the clubs. It's very, very, it's harder to get into these clubs than it is to get into the school because only a select people who get into the school get into these clubs. So in terms of these application interview process, you are really just thrown in there because within the first 3 weeks, you need to know how to interview, how to present yourself, how to draft a resume that's appropriate for a professional level. So all those types of skills, it's very, very difficult to know that. So I would spend the summers learning how to do that, especially after you get into college. For the other part of your question, Auntie, you mentioned like, do they teach you about all the opportunities that are available? Is there a program or a class that teaches you about the available programs? At UF, there's something called First Year Florida, and there's something called, FPD Fundamentals. There are actually quite a few facets or, avenues that you can take to learn about all the programs, whether it's semester abroad, whether it's research, how to reach out to professors, how to write the email when you reach out to professors. There's a lot of professional development courses that young students, whether they're in their freshman or sophomore year, that they can take those to understand how to map out their college career. And there's another good way that I mentioned, like I did in high school, is talk to older students. There's a very big culture of something called coffee chatting. You can ask any student at any school in any college. Older students are always willing to help younger students. It's always important to reach out to the older students and ask them for advice. What kind of things worked for you? What didn't work for you? What are you learning now? What are you excited about? So those type of conversations can really help you in terms of, do you want to do a semester abroad? Do you want to do abroad education? Do you want to do research? Would you like to be part of a wet lab or a dry lab, or what type of courses to take? It's those niche types of information that only a student can know, and it's not posted on the website. In that way, there's so many ways to learn. There's the professional development avenues, there's the self-learning avenue, as well as the older student avenue. If you combine these three, you can be very, very well off. And I don't think as a college student, you should be afraid of performing if you combine these three and have a very, very like self-disciplined approach to life and performance. I think this is where IB separated me or differentiated me personally. I think the IB program, whether you did the IB program and you got into UF and you didn't do it or got into UF, you might have ended up in the same place as someone else. But the real thing is, I think IB made me very, very independent. There's so many complications, so many different niche things, so many assignments, so much self-management that you have to be capable of to perform in IB that translates directly to school. Would I say that the coursework separated me in terms of I'm smarter than other people? Absolutely not. I think at any school, you'll see smart people, intelligent people, ambitious people. But in terms of self-management, there's so much to do. College is a full-time job, maybe even like a double full-time job. You have to take care of yourself. You have to keep your dorm clean, stuff that your parents take care of you, as well as learn how to do a resume, learn the technical courses, keep your GPA high, study, make friends, go out, make connections, party. There's so much to do. And I think IB in that way has made me very good at self-management and being able to discern myself whether it comes to making high pressure decisions. So yeah.
Thank you, Vishnu. Thank you. This session kind of opened so many questions కి నాకు చాలా ఆన్సర్స్ వచ్చినాయి
Yes, yes.
అనిపిస్తుంది. అంటే చాలామంది మనము అంటే ఇప్పుడు మనకి ఇంటర్నెట్ వచ్చింది, సెర్చ్ చేస్తాం కానీ ఒక పర్సనల్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ మీరు ఆ కాలేజ్లో ఉన్న ఇచ్చేది ఇట్ విల్ కనెక్ట్ టు ద స్టూడెంట్స్ అండ్ ద
Yes.
పేరెంట్స్.
True.
సో థ్యాంక్ యూ వెరీ మచ్ ఫర్ యువర్ టైమ్ అండ్ ఆల్ దోస్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ నువ్వు టచ్ చేసిన పాయింట్స్ రియల్లీ ఐ బిలీవ్ 100% ఇవి చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్ అండ్ ఇట్ విల్ హెల్ప్ఫుల్ ఫర్ మెనీ స్టూడెంట్స్. So thank you, and we will be back with another session with another university, and hopefully I'll bring back Vishnu for another session as well with a different topic. Thank you.